So yeah, like there are two other topics I wanted to get into. So I'm gonna ask you pick between 1 and 2. What number do you want to go with?
Let's go with 1.
1.
Yeah, man.
Okay, we're going to Cambridge.
Okay.
So you went to Cambridge.
Throwback.
Yeah, man. How was that?
Cambridge it was an experience, I guess. It's an interesting one to talk about because with the podcast, with Over the Bridge and everything, like we started it on the basis of unpacking that experience because when you're kind of in it, you're not really cognizant of the different dynamics and like how you're feeling or whatever. You're just kind of going with the flow.
Right.
And Cambridge was an interesting experience for me. I think for one, it was a blessing in the sense that it's considered like the
elite.
You know what I mean? As far as education goes, is the epitome of like where you want to end up. And as far as like if I think about what my parents wanted from us when they came to this country and built a life here, education is something I was always stressed like heavily. So I'm happy to have said like, as far as like what, you know, particularly my dad, like he was really on us when it came to education. That cool. I did the education thing. I kind of took it to the furthest extent as far as, you know, institution wise. Is special because I think one thing that Cambridge does well in Oxford and similar unis where it's very it can be quite tailored. So you get more one-to-one and like small group time with lecturers and leaders in their fields than you might do from other universities. So that made it as a learning experience like very valuable. I think on the social side, I personally struggled a little bit, in a funny way. Of course, like I think coming from
London,
black boy from London, and don't get me wrong as well. As much as I say this, like I still see myself as like we grew up in ends, whatever the case is, but I still had a privileged upbringing, and I say that because I grew up and there was always just books in the house. Like my dad, there was books around. I ended up going to a grammar school through secondary school and what have you. So like I was there was a balance of, I grew up on an estate up until about 14. But then so I'll be getting the train to leafy Surrey to grammar school, and I'm seeing the contrast and concrete, and then like, bro, do you know what I mean? I remember going for my induction day, and literally thinking this is like Harry Potter, and I was like, this is mad, and this is just secondary school. So like, so I kind of saw the contrast between that, and that made me realize for the first time that okay, cool, I've kind of grown up a little bit different to some of my peers, and I would have thought that would have prepared me more for Cambridge, but it didn't really, because as much as I had like privileged, you know, white middle class kids in school that, you know, I was cool with and what have you, in Cambridge is a different level of
snootish
environment.
I mean grandeur and like the
actions and the demeanors and
like
reception.
So you have your matriculation, and that's basically where you go into the college. So like basically context. So Oxford, Cambridge, I think Dublin. I'm not sure. They have like a collegiate system. So like you have the university and everyone has like their own college that they're placed into. So I go in. I'm lining up to go into this hall, and my college was like the oldest college in Cambridge, so 800 years old, like rich history. And you have like your gown, your matriculation gown. So
is this even in freshers at this point?
This is freshers.
That's mad.
And another thing, there's not really a freshers in Cambridge. It's like 3 days, and you're doing loads of like stuff in college, so it's not really like a real freshers like say most other cities.
Not DMU.
It's not.
They say you're here to work.
Bro. Like induction is really like, okay, this is just so that you can get to work immediately, basically. So you go in and you have your gown. You're in this old building, candle lit. there's a big old hundreds of years old book. I have to sign it. I had to recite stuff in Latin. Like it was a very mad experience.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Do you know what I mean? So like, it was a different experience. It was a bit of it was a crazy culture shock.
Right.
And it was a bit.
How did they make sure you didn't like break the book?
If you break the book, you're going to the uni. You're gone.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting experience, and it's nice because it's like, to some people, it was kind of like if you went to a private school, some of these privileged like private schools and what have you that have very rich cultures and histories and stuff. This is just normal. Like this is like. But for me, even despite going to a grammar school, like it was still like
a next level above.
Yeah. It was wild to me, and I guess I had certain experiences there that at times made me feel like I wasn't welcomed, or I didn't belong, or people, like people questioning. I might go and visit a friend at another college, and they'll like ask me for ID. Or like people that go to that college might see me. Maybe I'm having lunch, like, oh, you're a friend from back home or whatever, and I'm like,
Listen, I hear it. I went to Southampton, and like basically all the people who can't get into Oxford or Cambridge come to my uni. Yeah. Right. So you've got that same level of like, people thinking like that. And in Southampton, you've got Southampton, which is Russell Group Uni. I think it's a top 10. And then you've got Southampton Solent. Shout out to Southampton Solent. That's where like Sam Henshaw and them man went. Right? Good uni for media arts and stuff like that.
But you need less. You're from Solent.
Listen, I've been walking around here. People assume I'm from Solent. People ask validity.
People
will literally I did history, right? It was dead. But I'd be like, it was me and one other black guy who did history. But we knew each other already, so a black guy knew each other. That stereotype was fulfilled already because we went sixth form together.
Okay.
But like, you'd be in environments where even the lecturers be moving funny with you and kind of like trying to bait you to be moving mad. I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, like, I just want to study, like, I just have to recite that in Latin. That's moving mad. But
no,
like,
I get it. It's a very similar vibe, like, because so the Cambridge equivalent of that would have been Anglia-Ruskin.
They assume you go.
So they would ask, oh, would you go to ARU or like, do you know what I mean? And so just little experiences like that, little things that like bite at you, and there's a few things that are a bit more like overt. I definitely remember one experience of like being called the N-word.
Oh,
that was just outside. I was just in town or whatever.
Okay,
but I think it was a Cambridge Uni student that said it.
They legged it probably.
I turned around because I was with hella like women as well. I was with like female friends, and I just immediately just kind of like thing. And obviously, like naturally, they kind of like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it was a busy thing, so people just kind of gone on the way, and it's kind of like you just had to like swallow that or whatever. But there's things that happened that I'm like didn't really feel the most comfortable, the most welcome, the most at home. Right. And obviously I could say that looking back, but at the same time, to this day, like I feel like, oh, okay, did I put myself out there enough to like maybe be more out there and outgoing and like try and forge connections and what have you? And the same time, like,
but did you isolate yourself though? Did you kind of, because of certain circumstances, shut yourself away from the greater Cambridge community?
At times, yeah. Like I feel like I met there was a group of friends that I made from my college, and I kind of stuck to them to a great extent. I was cool with everyone, don't get me wrong, but I didn't go out of my way to and that's not really my personality type anyway, and they'll do stuff that I just assume like I wouldn't be into. Like I could have tried rowing, I didn't bother trying rowing. I could have done stuff. I could have, do you know what I mean? Like I could have gone out my way a little bit. So
it's difficult though.
Yeah, because I didn't notice at the time, but like it was only looking back when I look at certain pictures or whatever, and also realizing that I've actually blocked out. There's loads of gaps in my memories of that time, and it's only like after I'm like thinking, why don't I remember like these things? And people's like, oh, you might have been depressed, And I was like,
the thing is, what you're saying, is exactly the same for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Bro.
Like I legit remember going to the library, getting my graduation cap and gown and that, and keeping it moving.
100%.
Like apart from occasional nights out here and there.
Yeah.
Because it was different. Because I always say, and I spoke to a few people as I go around. Like for me, I went to just standard like state school and like primary school, secondary school.
Yeah.
And I grew up around everybody, like black, white, Asian, whatever. And no one treated anyone differently, had no issues with race. But as soon as I got to uni Within 1 week, I was like, it's like they see you and it's like, oh yeah, you like this, you like that. I'm like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm not even in like a pull-up way. It's just like I'm an individual person that has just come here to study like everybody else. So why are you just assuming I'm black? I like certain things or I don't like certain things. I don't like mayonnaise, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Someone tried to give me some tuna mayo, and it was all mayo, no tuna. It was terrible. But like, it's almost like you feel like a bit demonized, and you kind of get to felt like you're kind of separate from everyone else. So like my housemates were 5, they're all from just the UK, innit? Like I think one was from Brighton, one was from Manchester, one was from Liverpool, but we were so different. And I'm an open-minded person. I can talk to most people about most things. The one conversation I had with them was about Big Bang Theory, and that was as far as it went.
Yeah,
there was nothing to talk about.
Yeah, the feeling like there's not common ground where you can vibe. I think for me, common ground like with people that I would maybe not think on appearance that we vibe, it will be like music or like something like that.
Nah, man, the music at uni was funny because like we had this bar. I think it was, I can't remember what the bar was called, but it was basically for the University of London, innit? So I went to UCL. And like they would just be playing Spice Girls and all these
the Friends theme, bruv. The Friends theme.
When there was this Lion King thing, I used to play like a remix of the Lion King theme tune. That used to like.
Shall I tell you the worst one as well? Yeah, what's that song? R. Kelly Ignition. We can't play R. Kelly.
Ignition.
But like, you know when they used to say, "Run my hands through your throat," I would have to turn around and be careful. You know, if someone touched you, I don't know where your hands been. You know, the Fresh Prince, the Friends theme, and these songs were alien to me.
I love the Fresh Prince theme.
Word for word.
Yeah.
Nah, man. I think uni is definitely a very interesting experience because you get to like. Did you live in halls or?
Yeah, so I lived in halls for like the first and final year.
Okay.
But second year I was like away. I was a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So when I was in halls, like I was in halls for the first year, and it was just such a different experience, like in terms of cleanliness. Like I had to keep my plates in my room just so people don't use them.
Trust me.
You know, like it was all mad.
No decorum. People do not have decorum. No home training.
The home training was terrible. And it's funny because even in your own household, or for me in my household, my mom's like, "Oh, you're messy," but then when I got there, I was like, "Oh, the cleanest ones." Like
like you know when you get told in your house like clean your plate after you use it and put it away. These people got like I had like one of mine, they went away for Christmas and left like turkey they'd made for Christmas dinner. So like I was there for an extra week because I was like, let me try to bag it out, blah blah. Bruv, the like foil was raising and coming up. I know there was a mole flower or something. Like, there was a new species. There was a corn something there. There was a mushroom or something. It was something.
That's foul, fam.
The cleaners wanted to fight my housemates. I was the only one cool with the cleaner.
That's another thing as well. I was cool with all like the kind of like people in the house. But people act this like they could not see them. I'll try to have conversations. I think it's just
culture.
It's a culture thing.
Yeah. And maybe you at uni you kind of see a bit of the class divide, you know, as well.
100. So. Like one thing as well, like in the college as well, like so people have there's like a dining hall in the college,
right.
And like a lot of the staff that worked there were like locals from Cambridge, just like people from the area. And like people wouldn't chat to have conversations with them. Like I'll have normal conversations with like, but you see there's a clear class divide. There's this thing they called like town. They used to call them townies. Like
townies, to mugbloods.
Do you know what I mean? They used to call them the townies and stuff. It was just,
townies.
Yeah, bro.
That's a bit mad, you know.
And it was so normalized. Like the kind of classist attitudes were so normalized. And for a lot of people, just like they just haven't interacted with people from different backgrounds.
Right.
So it was just pure ignorance for them. Like there was one girl that was at my college. I won't say her name, but she was one time. I was just walking on the way to the lectures, and I had like my bike or whatever. Usually I would just cycle, but she like stopped me or whatever, so I thought, right, cool, I'll just walk with her. And like, she was saying, oh yeah, like it must have been so hard for you, like growing up and making it here and like just mad.
This is sounding like everybody hates struggle life.
Struggled, like mad assumptions of struggle life, and it was stuff like that. And it people have the perceptions because they just have grown up in areas where everyone else is just like them.
Yeah. Nah, man, that. Time out.
Can you bring your mic down a bit?
Yeah.
So it doesn't cover your face completely.
Okay. Oh, my face been covered this whole time.
You know, it's like when you slouched a bit.
Yeah.
It's like the mic started to cover.
Okay,
your face
got
a bit
you.
more, yeah.
Calm.
Good. That's it.
Time in. What was I gonna say?
Last points we were talking about was townies, class divide.
Class divide. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny with the class thing is like sometimes experiences I had, I wasn't sure whether or not it was based on class or it was based on race.
Yeah, that's that intersection, as they say.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm sure there was like one thing I noticed in fact was like a lot of well, I mean, not say a lot, but some of like the black students that were international students, for instance, from Nigeria, well-to-do money, oil money, like,
oil
do you know what I
money.
mean, long money from back home and that.
I like you.
Do you know what I mean? They kind of like settled in probably easier than a lot of the kind of second generation guys and third generation, whatever you, that kind of born and raised in the UK and were there. And there's a certain confidence I think that they had based on like identity, just having a strong sense of self.
Yeah, of course.
And having more similarities as far as like social capital. As, you know, they might have gone. A lot of them went to like private schools like for 2 years before coming to Cambridge or whatever. So like there's lots of ways in which like the class and race thing, the intersections played, and it's hard to distinguish. But I just remember you can't forget like the feeling of like. Do you know what I mean? And I don't tend to take things too personally, but I definitely know like I can tell when the feeling in it that doesn't leave you.
You know. Like if you're in that situation, you've been in that experience, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's hard to contextualize the words for it.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. And it's not until like I got on the podcast with Over the Bridge and like spoke to the rest of the boys, because I'm like the youngest out of them, so like 2 of them are the year above me, and one of them was a couple years above me, and we were talking about experiences like, "Bro, like that happened to you too." Oh, you feel like this, and I was like, "Okay, cool." So there's definitely something to it. So it just led to good conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to have gone to uni now, like, and because like I feel like black culture has penetrated the UK society a bit more now. Because like I don't know, I can't speak for anyone else's uni, but like when you go clubbing, you'd have the black room. And you'd have like it would just be like hip hop, R&B. It'd be all the music you want to hear. But it's in an isolated room
and some small room, like, and then the main room is just unts and
music. That's disrespectful, you know. It sounds good too sometimes. But like it was stuff like that. Whereas now the main room would be a lot more hip hop, R&B, probably some drill music in there now as well. And that'd be cool.
It's true, man. Like it's funny. Like when we had a young man, Baker. He, for one of the episodes we did, we basically reached out to anyone that had just got offers. I can't remember what year it was, but like who'd got offers to Cambridge. And I don't know if you guys know Brampton Manor.
Yep.
In East, like every year they just
got
stars. So like a couple people reached out and we got him on the podcast to kind of talk about just recently received the offer.
Right.
And we've kind of just stayed in touch and whatever. He graduated yesterday, I think.
Oh, man.
It's been a full like 360, but like we met him just before he left to go. And like I'm sure he had some experiences that were similar to us, but like I see like from us, what I see from pictures and from like their ACS and the things they've been doing, like they've taken things like
beyond.
I proper love seeing what they've done, and the way they've been able to utilize social media to like really for the access projects and that kind of thing that they do has been amazing. Because if I'd seen that before, I wouldn't have been as
isolated.
Not just that, but I wouldn't have. I kind of applied because I thought I had a perception of what Cambridge was going to be like and the type of people that were going to be there, and I probably would have been more open-minded, and it would have been less of a daunting thing. I would have been there, been a lot more intentional with my experience there if I'd seen people talking about the experiences being there as black people or whatever the case is. So yeah, and numbers-wise as well, like they have way more black people.
It used to be like 1 to 1,000 where I was. You'd be like, "Oh, bro, you as well."
And you know every single black person in the thing is like, literally.
It was bad.
and it's a case of like you get to know all the black people there. Most of the time, sometimes there's the black person that doesn't nod to you. They're a bit bad vibes. there's always one, but yeah.
You know, going back to something that we were talking about a bit earlier, like, you know, a lot of the people that just come over from like Ghana and Nigeria. It was mostly Nigeria for me in Southampton.
Yeah, likewise.
There was a very big divide between like second and third generation black people and then the Nigerians who just come over.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of people that kind of the Nigerians went to the Afro-Christian Society. So we had ACCN, so Afro-Caribbean Christian Society.
Okay.
Right.
So we had that, and then we had ACS.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the ACS, like a lot of the black people were kind of like, for example, people like me, second, third generation, will be in ACS, but everyone else would be in ACCN. And I went there one time because I knew like the head, and he was like a PhD student.
Okay.
So he must be about 7-8 years older than us now. I went there, and it felt so far away from home that I've ever been. Like, because they were like, we will now speak in tongues.
Wow. I was just declared we're going to speak in
man
tongues.
announced it, and everyone's eyes was closing and go blah, 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 and I was just like, like no disrespect in it, but like I was just like, I opened my eyes and said, "This ain't my God." I was just waiting, are you coming back again? I said no. But like it was hard to like. I was able to talk to them because I don't mind engaging in conversation and stuff, but they kind of looked down on everyone and said, "Oh, that's not the way we should be moving."
Yeah, of course. There's that judgmental aspect to it. I think that definitely comes with a lot of African religious culture. It has a lot of judgment attached to it. So
it can do,
yeah. Nah, man. Like another thing that I found interesting was when I was in the ACS. Like I just went to one event, like we played FIFA, that's it. But I remember the first event they gave out Indomie.
What?
Indomie packets, yeah.
Why did
it came in handy though. It came in handy. Like one day when I was hungry, I just ate like all the struggle meals, you know. So did you have any struggle meals while you were out there?
At uni? Oh, I'm sure I'd plenty, man. The good thing is that because one thing about Cambridge is that they try to make as many external things that can take you away from your studies. They try to like limit how much it can impact you. So like if you want to have food, like there's halls, obviously you pay, but like not immediately, but like you can get food, there's halls. Like there was loads of bursaries and grants and that kind of thing that were available. So they really got out of the way. One thing I got to commend them, and of course they like have a massive endowment because it's Cambridge University.
Of course. So,
like, endowment fund is crazy, and they own bare land. Like people don't know, but like they own a lot of land as well. So I didn't have to have too many struggle meals, but there was definitely a few, I guess, where I was just out of laziness or just out like I ain't got time. I got boom, like make something happen. No, that's like a sardines and pasta or something, or like a. Do you know what I mean, nothing crazy, but like, do you know what I mean, still you get still getting the main food groups in there. You know?
Nah, my worst one was I had beans and sardines, just straight.
Straight man. Beans and sardines.
Just straight beans and
baked
sardines.
Beans, like Heinz.
Baked beans, Heinz.
Like, you're Robin, man.
I didn't have anything and I just couldn't be bothered to go to the shop. You know, once that uni depression hits you, like it's a bit mad.
Bro. So what you reckon you had that?
Yeah.
How many people? Well,
sorry, this one's about to die in a bit.
Okay,
so I was gonna set up this one. To kind of take over.
Cool.
I think. What time do you have the room till? 5?
Yeah. What's the time?
4:30.
Oh, we got some time then.
Set up this one.
I guess we still got one angle anyway.
Yeah. You can keep going.
We still got that. We still got that angle, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this will be later into the podcast, so it'll be like people that are dedicated. You know? Yeah.
I think you were saying like that about the like uni depression and what have you.
Yeah, the uni depression hits you because you're isolated. Like or it depends what uni you go to as well. Like I feel like in unis where you're around people that are like you, then you're fine. But like for me, because I was in a uni where it's like everybody's from out of London, like, or even the people that are from London, they've lived a completely different, lifestyle to me. that you get isolated. So that isolation, and then on top of having to study, and
it's a pressure cooker, isn't it?
And and all your friends that you obviously went to school with, they're in their different unis, so it's not like you're just chilling and hanging out. And social media wasn't what it was. Like, you weren't as connected back then as you are now. So it's like a very different time,
100%, man. It was one thing I noticed is, was like, I think most of my my friends, particularly, it's actually now, again, when I was talking about like having big chunks of my uni experience that I can't remember, sometimes I get like a little flashback, but like within like my first week, I was confronting like mental health for the first time, and not just me, my personal experience of it, but like other people. So there was a girl on my in my building, like on the same floors with the floor below me. She used to have like huge anxiety attacks, and like she'll literally, I could hear her from my room just like like struggling to breathe. And I'll come out and try and like calm her down, or like try and get the porters to like help and whatever you. That threw me off, because I'm thinking, this is uni, and people are just low key like having breakdowns. I have two good friends that had like manic episodes that literally broke from reality due to the pressure and stuff that's going outside. Loads of people that had depression. Some I knew at the time, and others like it's only later on I found out that they were going through things as well. And it's only me, like myself, when I say that I kind of self-diagnosed that I might have been depressed, or like definitely I had social anxiety or something. Like I wasn't myself basically for chunks of it.
You kind of just got the job done.
I did I kind of felt like I was doing the bare minimum to kind of get through. And like you said, the whole isolation thing, I made good friends at uni, but at the same time you're still kind of there when you're in your room, you're by yourself.
Of course, man.
I didn't have people like flying up. One good thing, I had girlfriend at the time. She used to like fly up and like chill, cook, whatever, kind of take him. So that's nice. Like, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that was cool. But like at the same time, bro, when you're there by yourself, and you're going through it, it's kind of mad.
A lot.
Yeah.
Nah, man. That brings me on to the second topic, number 2, that you didn't pick. But because I wanted to know how did you deal with having a long-term relationship while you were in uni?
Well, at uni. Oh, okay, cool.
Or have you done it in other contexts as well?
I have actually, on a couple of times. So like, different relationships though, innit? So like, at uni, I was with a lady for like, well, prior to going to uni, I think it'd been maybe a couple of years, I don't know, a year, something like a couple of years. Maybe like a year and a bit. Making that work, I think, to be honest, at that age, I was quite immature as far as like, she was a lot more advanced as far as like she knew what she wanted from a relationship. She had a vision that this is meant to go somewhere. I was I was just in the relationship. I didn't have it with a goal in mind. And I think generalization, but I think women, maybe particularly, she was somewhat traditional. She grew up here and whatever, but she was born in Africa, innit? I won't specify. I don't want to. But do you know what I mean? She kind of had that, I think, a bit of that mindset where it's like, you're not just in it for lols, innit? Like, this is meant to lead somewhere. And I wasn't there. So like, for me, as much as I was in a relationship, a lot of people probably didn't even know that I was in a relationship until she came to visit for the first time. Because it's just like, I'm just here and I'm just living and whatever. Not to say I was doing that mad.
You wasn't out here.
I wasn't out here. No, I actually wasn't. Well, I can put my hands up and say it. I wasn't out here. But like, that did play a toll in, I think, that the relationship ending up. So like, I won't lie. Like, anyone like watching whatever, if you're going to uni in a relationship is difficult. Like,
it's probably doomed. Like,
to be honest, like, I can't think of one person that came into uni in a relationship that stayed in a relationship.
Like, I mean, if you're going at 18, if you're going at like 25, and you might be alright in it. But like, if you're going at 18, you're growing up so quickly. Like, when you're 18, you think you might think you're a man. You might think, I could do what I want now. Blah blah. You are not a man.
Not at all. Not at all. It's so funny. Like, you think you're you're growing, but you're really not, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that worked because she'll come once in a while. She was like living by herself, working, whatever, so she'll come, chill, stay for a week or whatever. But then, yeah, ultimately that didn't pan out for various reasons. But that distance did play a part in it. And the second time I've been in a long-term relationship was with my current partner, my wife. She was in Bristol working, and I was obviously still in London. So like that was for like a year. She was like on a year internship thing there. And with that, it was difficult, but at the same time, it's one of the ones, if you want to make it work, you have to make it work. And at that point, I was a bit more mature. I was 23 maybe.
Right.
So like I was a bit more like, okay, cool. I'm not in this really. And at that point, actually, funny enough, I'd said, because I'm a relationship guy in it. Let me just put that out there. I'm a relationship guy. So like I've been in relationship like from 15, 17, you know, up like been with like, you know, childhood sweetheart type vibe, and then someone else like through college, uni. Then I had like maybe a solid like year and a half of uni where I was single, and that's when I was out here a little bit. Not a little bit, but I was out here a little bit. For the record, just a little bit. And then like I had a period after that. I went to Kenya on a entrepreneurship program again. Lived life out there.
You joined the UN or something, boy.
that was. But I mean, that was like one of the best times of my life. Like, just as far as like the first time being in a black country on the motherland, like for a long extended period of time, and like just not having to acknowledge my race, not having to like be super conscious of the fact that I'm black, just blending in. That was a beautiful experience. And I was seeing someone casually prior to that, and after that, I was like, I actually had a moment where I was just normal, you know what I mean, city boy, Tinder, whatever.
Doing your thing, innit?
Do you know what I mean? Just chilling, whatever. And then I had a moment, I'm like, I thought this is empty, innit? Like I'm not really enjoying
You're not
this.
feeling fulfilled right now.
Nah, I'm not feeling this, man. And it was literally after I just had an encounter with a young lady, and I was like, I remember chatting to one of my friends. I'm like, bro, like I feel so empty. Like this is dead.
So you sound like you're in R&B mode,
bro. 100%. I felt like that. And then I said, actually, I had a word. I was like, God, listen, next, I'm gonna bake off. I'm just gonna work on myself spiritually, professionally, whatever I want to get into. If something presents itself that's right for me, just give me a sign in it. Like let me know. But until then, I'm just working on me. And then maybe like 2-3 months later, I met my now wife at work. And usually that's like a no-go. You're not really trying to like
business and pleasure usually have
and initially I did think, but whatever happened, and we just connected, and
it's great as a result.
Do you know what I mean? Amazing result. But yeah, she was in she went on it. She left that where we were working. I stayed there. She went to work in Bristol for a while, and it was just like I'll fly up like every other weekend kind of thing, just try and make it the most of time as you can, and that's about it. But when I think there's a switch in your mind where like I'm ready, like even from the switch between just being in a relationship as boyfriend and girlfriend, and then actually getting married, or knowing that I'm ready to get married, it was literally it was the course of like a conversation really with someone else, like an older person. Really, that switched it for me. I'm like, okay, because a lot of people have especially men, we have this idea that we need to have certain things patterned before we can think about getting married.
Like an internal checklist.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Whether it be financially, whether it be like professionally, stability, etc. Yeah. And I was talking to this guy. He's an artist, and
not me.
Not a music artist. He's a fine artist, I guess. Yeah. And he was telling me about at the time he met his wife, he was like homeless. He was on drugs. Like he just was the opposite of stable. Do you get me? Right. And that union is what they then built up. That union was like the foundation for them building their life.
They've progressed together.
Exactly. Yeah. And when he kind of told me about that, and he's just like, "What are you waiting for?" Like there's never going to be a time where you're going to feel like, yeah, I'm stable. Like I'm thinking like, well, now I'm married, I don't feel like, cool, I've got everything patterned. Right. But we're building together. That's I think once you get to that, once that switches, so there's no like right time as far as like things you need to tick off in life. But is a mental switch where it's like, okay, this is the person I want to build something with.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then once you make that decision, then
go for
it, man. Do you know what I mean? People are scared of commitment in this generation. Like, people are
Of
scared.
course.
But you have to commit to something. Like,
Of course.
you have to commit to making things work.
Like, I was speaking with one of my boys, and I think he's been with his missus for about 4 years, and they've come to that stage where it's like she's saying my body clock is ticking. Like, yeah, like I need marriage before I can have kids.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Yeah. Now it's coming for him. Is like it's an ultimatum thing now.
Yeah,
now
ultimatum.
Like,
I don't like that.
It shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It shouldn't have to. But if you're being intentional, and honest with yourself and saying, okay, what do I actually want? Do I want to build a life with this person? Yeah.
Right.
Then you're being proactive. Then you can say like, okay, cool. I can make this move. I can make this decision.
But I think it's easier for a guy to do that though. Because for her, if she stands by she has to get married before she has kids and you just keep stalling it, you as a guy can walk out and go someone younger, or it's the same age who's not in that same predicament.
Right. I don't envy women in that situation still, because the biological thing is very real.
It's real. It's real.
Yeah, it's
a techie one still.
Yeah, 100% is, and we have like different rates at which we grow and like different things we prioritize. But I think for me, like, it's never by force, but it has to be a thing where you get to terms of like, this is what I want. Like, this is what I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to like. You know what I mean? This is
the person that I want to build with. This is the right person.
Exactly.
But I feel like you have to experience with a few women. It doesn't have to be like loads and loads, but you have to experience to know what you want. Obviously, there's some people that know from their childhood sweetheart, but most of the time you have to go through a few frogs or whatever.
That's a frogs, you know. So wind in the willows.
To know, you know.
I get what you mean. I feel like you learn about yourself in relationships as well. 100%.
Yeah, it's accelerated.
Yeah,
it's accelerated.
I definitely say like to my wife, like, you've definitely caught the best version of me. Like,
exactly.
Every single relationship that I've been in, I've like improved as a partner. I can, and it's funny because people tell me anecdotes of stuff I've done in the past. So I'm like, right, did I really do that? Because I see myself in a completely different light now. I'm like, what? Like, I actually don't believe certain things people have told me. And then like, so she's benefited from the fact that I had unfortunate to those things. But that's how life thinks, in it, and that's how it panned out. And I've learned from all of the experiences as far as like you said, what likes and dislikes, but then also just like learning about different love languages and how you can cater to that and how you can certain elements of compromise and being emotionally available. And there's so many things you learn, but you can learn those things in like normal friendships as well. And, like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, man.
But I feel like in normal friendships you can only learn them to certain levels. I feel like when in actual relationships there's a bit more pressure on them, so more comes out, if that makes sense.
But one thing I think people need to bear in mind is always like, you're not gonna have everything perfect before you make that commitment. People feel like, okay, cool, we have to have work through all of our issues before we go into the thing, but things are gonna come up. You work through it whilst it's still a work in progress. So being married isn't the finished article. That's just like, okay, we've decided we're gonna, regardless of all of the mad stuff, all the difficulties, all your traumas and my traumas and we're gonna still try and make it work.
Right.
That's the key thing. So it's the commitment aspect of it. And once you're in that type of relationship, is like you have more reason to try and make it work. Whereas like sometimes if you're just casual, it's like, all right, someone might not be behaving the way that you like, whatever. Like, cool, cut them off. There's the next thing, like I'm chatting to 3 people at the same time. So like, there's no level of like I'm actually intentionally trying to make something work. So it's easy to just float.
I don't think people respect each other until they actually want to engage into something greater. You're just a name.
An option.
Effectively,
It's an option.
Like you could have 5-10 options, and unfortunately some people have 0. But you know what I mean. Like, like some people could just, all right, next, move on. Like you're nothing to me until we find something that might stick. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, because at the same time I don't want to waste, like, say, I'm not speaking like I was born in the 50s, but like if you meet one girl and then you just double down on her, and she ain't it. And you get to like 80, and you look at her, you're like, why did I marry you? Like, like, in the most respectful way. Whereas now, you can have a conversation for like 5-10 minutes. Maybe if you want to take it a little bit seriously, a couple weeks, couple months, be like, this ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
I value myself. I respect you. Bye.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's very true. But a lot of people like stringing people along the soul. Like keeping those options open.
Trust me.
People are messy, man. And that's why I don't subscribe to like men are trash or women are trash, whatever it is.
Everyone's trash.
Everyone's trash.
This is it, man.
Everyone's trash. Everyone's insecure. Everyone's like, everyone's scared.
Yeah. I think it's fear, fear of commitment. You need to know yourself so that you know who you're committing to. Because when you make a commitment, you need to know how am I going to behave? You know what I'm saying? Like, have you been watching some of the content like Kevin Samuels and stuff like that? Obviously, as a married man, the Godfather. You know what I'm saying?
Call him. I've seen a few like videos when he does the lives and stuff. I think he's funny. Like, I think it's funny because obviously watching it as someone that's already married and what have you, it's kind of like, I'm out the game, and it makes me happy to be out the game because I'm like, yo, it's messy. Like, it's hard, like, for people that are single, and particularly at my age as well. And when you start talking about biological clocks and like women, it's a harder game for them as well. There's just so many pressures that they have to deal with. But like, but it's very conflict based. It's very like men versus women. There's not really it doesn't feel like there's a sentiment of trying to seek common ground and see like how we can like make things work relationship wise. Is very like just grievances, just how can we display our grievances and show who's the bad actor in the equation. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Someone wants to play the villain, or someone wants someone to play the villain. Most of the time, sometimes that person's not even that bad.
Facts.
Other times they could be doing the bad, they're cheating on like 15 different people.
You're
supposed to be the main thing, but there's 14 others. Like, but in general, I thought, you know what it is, like, I don't know if I was in that situation, if I'd be running to ask a next person, not just the next man, the next person, that type of advice. I don't want to be putting my woes on live stream for bare people.
Well, as an artist, that's something that you always do, Well, not always do. It depends what type of artist you do, but you're putting your woes on show for people. So for me, it doesn't seem as crazy as maybe.
But I think there's a purpose in. Well, I don't know. Obviously, you could talk more specifically about your take on it, but like, there's kind of a purpose when, as an artist, you put your woes up because it's like, you're hoping someone else connects to this. Will they learn something from it? Or you can connect on that basis and it's like therapeutic, whatever the case is. But literally just going and saying, this is happening, and people knowing that people are gonna be busting joke about you. Like,
commentary channels just be looking at you like,
do you know what I mean?
Monetization.
People aren't there to help. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to understand people's intentions when you're putting yourself out there as well.
Yeah, of course.
I think people just want guidance. And I feel like there's a lot of times in general, I'm just making this general thing, up until 18, you get a lot of guidance and you get kicked into the big wide world. And sometimes even at, our age now, unfortunately, late 20s, that's not good these times. You want guidance on things. You want guidance for the next chapter, the 28 to 35. But sometimes there's people out there that want to help you, but more times there's not like an organization where you could say, boom, these are the people that are going to help me.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't have the role models there as well.
That's the thing. Because I guess our parents' generation, normally you'd go for like, you chat to an uncle or aunt, whatever, like they can give, but sometimes they're not in the best.
They're not helping you. Back in my day, I need now.
Some of your uncles be having bare families on the side, and
I already had 5 kids when I was your age, but I have none, so help me now.
Do you know what I mean? The dynamics are completely different.
100%.
But mentorship as well, and I was actually chatting to my wife about it recently, like having older like mentors, like having like just knowing older people in their late 30s, people in their 40s, whatever, like, because they look at things with in hindsight, like that they can give you perspectives that you don't have when you're in the thick of it. I can chat to like a younger, like a cousin or whatever, someone that's 18, 20, going through stuff, and like let them know like, cool, I get it, like I've been there, but like this is a minor, like compared to like what's coming.
Yeah.
I can give that guidance because I've been through it, but like we need, like you said, that generation above us. And sometimes those conversations, they doesn't feel like they happen too often.
They
don't.
I think people get so busy, or like I think even at our age, when you speak to older people, they look at you like, oh, you're young. You're so young, but then you think in your mind, no, I'm not though.
Yeah,
but you are in that sense, and it's that realization.
You've got a lot of life to live, man.
Yeah. I want to chat to old. Like, I actually signed up to try and do this thing where you can talk to. Cause you know, like, there's a huge like loneliness crisis as far as like elderly people that just are lonely. Like there's these people set up things where you can like call them, and like I wanted to do something about it, I couldn't get through for some reason, but chat to like older, like literally chatting to older people, like there's so much wisdom that is untapped. And I feel like from the lot of cultures that we grew up in, traditionally that is celebrated. Like you respect your elders, you have conversations with them, you get guidance and wisdom from them. That doesn't really exist here because everything's there's no community. There's not as much of a strong community unit.
Right.
So we do miss out on that. And unfortunately for me, for instance, like my grandparents, like all of them were outside of my grandma who died in 2018, they all died before I was when I was like either a baby or before I was born.
Okay.
And then my grandma that I had, there was the language barrier.
Yeah,
so she couldn't speak or understand English. So like, and she lived in Ghana, so there was the geographical distance as well. But there's so much wisdom to be captured from speaking to that generation that I think people that do have their grandparents and what have you definitely make use of, like have these conversations. 100%.
No, like I think in order to get the advice that you need, you have to be willing to speak to the right people. Like you have to be willing to have those discussions, and it depends on what advice you need, because a lot of people can teach you from their mistakes. So sometimes you do have to say, oh, this person doesn't have the ideal life that I want, but maybe they can tell me from their mistakes what I need to do in my next step. And I think it's also finding the right people that are actually where you want to be. Because there's no use like getting business advice from someone that's never ran a business. Of course.
Like, you should do this.
I mean,
but then
what proof?
The older generation, like sometimes what they want, what they want for you can be different from what may be the best for you. You know,
100%.
Because my mom was telling me earlier today, like she was like, because I've got a girlfriend, and my mom was saying like you need to do this traditional thing. You need to do this traditional thing, like because there's a concept called knocking. I'm not sure. Like where you have to go with a family member to the girl's parents and basically say, I like your daughter, and basically she's with me.
State your intentions.
That sounds a bit bad, you know. Like, that perspective. Imagine knocking to the next man's door and saying, this is my girl now. That's wild.
Did you have to do any of that traditional stuff or?
I did. Funnily enough, like 'cause my wife's Somali, so like we're different cultures, but like there's still a lot of similarities. I think with a lot of African cultures in general, there's a lot of similarities regardless of where you're from and stuff. So like I think my initial thing was just meeting her mum and her auntie, but because typically in their culture you don't really do the intros until you're looking to get married, like and we were dating. Do you know what I mean? We dated for a little bit, do you get me, prior to that. So it was a bit there was like that didn't happen immediately, but when those conversations were had, that definitely happened. You have to, and I followed her culture and her tradition, because that's typically how you do it. You follow like the woman's culture. So you did it the right way, you know. I think respect people's cultures and traditions. If you're marrying into it, like respect it as much as you can. There's some things that are maybe toxic or whatever, a bit outdated whatever from your perspective, but they serve the purpose at the time. Of course, sometimes they don't serve the purpose anymore. But man, I say respect it, because you're buying into like you're buying into a family.
That's your family now.
Literally, like her family or my family, like legit. Like I chill with them, like her, like my brother-in-laws and stuff. Like I do stuff with them, we chill. we like go mosque together, pray, whatever.
Yeah.
Business stuff, like whatever. Like so, you defo strong ties that you start to develop and whatever.
Okay. Now, the next time we have you on, we're gonna have to get into the religion as well, cause
yeah. I love a good religion.
Yeah,
chat.
we didn't get into it as much, but we'll have you on again anyway, and then we'll get into it. But like it's been a very interesting discussion. Definitely from somebody that's married as well, like. Young people are so afraid of marriage, you know, when you hear that, because I think social media has shown so many people that are just out here while they're in relationships or while they're married, like you're seeing married people cheating and this and that. Not that it wasn't happening before, but it's just now that
it's constantly
shown in your face. Like there's a video of certain acts. You know what I'm saying?
People need to come off socials. That's what it is, honestly.
Social media is terrible.
That is another conversation.
That's a whole
bad one.
No, social media and religion, and we're gonna get into it the next conversation we have.
Let's do it. Yeah, man.
But no, thank you for coming on. Please let the people know where they can find you.
So you can find me on I guess my businesses first, like Dapaah Chocolates, www.dapaahchocolates.co.uk.
This will be on the screen.
You can find me on socials, Kwaku Dapaah, so KWAKUDAPAAH _ on Twitter and Instagram. That's pretty much me. Follow up Dapaah Chocolates on Instagram as well, Dapaah Chocolates. Yeah, man.
And you can make sure you go to youtube.com/KTheInfinite for the episodes. We're going to be on Spotify, iTunes, all those things there as well. So make sure you're there. Follow me on Twitter at KTheInfinite, Instagram at KTheInfinite, and head to the website, theinfiniteman101.com.
And if you got this far, then shout out you. Follow me at Miles Bukowski. It's on the screen. Don't ask me what country I'm from. I will see you next time, innit?
Peace and love.